What is it that separates a good lesson from a truly great one? Is it the topic, the teacher, or is there something else, something in the design itself? Well, today we're going to deconstruct the DNA of a perfect lesson. And you might be surprised to hear that our guide for this is actually a creative brief for a Halloween video. Yep, I know it sounds simple, but trust me, you're about to see how it holds this incredibly powerful formula for making learning stick.
I mean, this is a question that's been bugging educators forever, right? How do you get past just drilling words and rules, especially with something as tricky as a new language? More importantly, how do you make it into something that people actually look forward to doing? That's the big puzzle we're going to solve today.
So our source material for this isn't some dense academic textbook. Nope, it's a creative brief for a Halloween-themed English lesson. But you gotta promise not to let the theme fool you, because hidden inside all the pumpkins and costumes is a powerful, repeatable blueprint for making amazing educational content about, well, pretty much any topic. So let's break it down. Okay, right from the get-go, the goal is crystal clear. And just look at the words they use: lively, inclusive, imaginative. This tells you everything. This isn't just about downloading information into someone's brain. It's about creating a whole atmosphere, a whole experience, where learning feels like this natural, fun thing that just kind of happens while you're participating. Now this is what I find so fascinating. Before we even get to a single vocabulary word, the blueprint sets these ground rules for the mood. Why? Well, it's simple. You can't learn effectively if you don't feel safe. By making it spooky fun, but not actually scary, and making sure it's inclusive for everyone, you're building a space where people feel comfortable enough to try things out, to make mistakes, and to, actually learn. All right, so the vibe is set, everyone feels welcome and ready to go. So how does this blueprint actually, teach the language? This is where it gets really brilliant. See, the plan isn't just some random activity. It's a carefully balanced system, and it's designed to hit all 4 of the fundamental language skills.
First up, we've got listening. Now, instead of some long, boring lecture, the blueprint calls for short, fun little dialogues. Just imagine 2 people talking about carving pumpkins, or what costume they're going to wear. Right away, that makes listening feel less intimidating, totally relevant, and honestly, a lot more interesting. Next is speaking, and this is a game changer. The lesson doesn't just talk at you, it asks for a response. By sticking interactive questions right into the content, it pushes learners to actually use the new words they're hearing. And that simple little step is what turns them from being just a passive audience into an active participant. Reading skills get worked in too, but in this really smart, subtle way. By just having simple, clear text on the screen that matches what's being said, learners can connect the sound of a word with what it looks like written down. This is huge for building confidence and just making reading feel way less scary.
And finally, writing. The whole thing builds up to this mini creative task. And we're not talking about some boring essay, okay? It's something practical and fun, like, hey, describe your dream Halloween costume, or write an invitation to a Halloween party. It's just a perfect way to show how you can actually use what you just learned in a creative, personal way.
Okay, so let's recap. We have a safe, fun environment and a really balanced approach that covers all the core skills. That right there is a solid lesson plan. But what takes it from just being good to being something you'll actually remember? Well, let's look at the magic ingredients that really crank up the engagement.
And here it is, a super simple 3-step recipe. First, you ground the whole lesson in a fun theme with some specific words. Then, you sprinkle in questions all the way through to keep the learner tuned in. And you wrap it all up with a creative task that lets them show what they can do. This structure basically turns the lesson into a little journey.
This quote from the source material, it just nails it. But notice the order of the words. The goal is to practice all these skills while having fun. Fun isn't just the cherry on top. It's a core ingredient. It's part of the engine that makes the whole thing work. And that philosophy is what makes this blueprint so darn effective. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, this is great for a Halloween lesson, but what about, history or science? And that's the absolute key here. This was never really about Halloween. It's about a universal set of principles that can totally transform how we teach pretty much anything. Let's just put it side by side. The old school way often leans on boring drills, abstract rules, and you just kind of sitting there passively soaking it in. The blueprint method, it flips the whole script. It uses themed stories to give everything context, active practice so the skills actually stick, and creative engagement to make you want to learn. The difference is night and day, isn't it?
And really, that's the big idea we should all walk away with.
It doesn't matter if you're teaching English or chemistry or world history, You can use this formula. Find a theme, balance the core skills, make it interactive, and wrap it up with a creative challenge. The moment you start doing that, you're not just teaching a subject anymore, you're designing an experience.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it. This simple blueprint shows us just how powerful a little bit of creative, structured thinking can be. And it leaves us with this really cool question to chew on. If a simple brief for a holiday video holds such a powerful model for learning, what other amazing blueprints are just sitting out there waiting for us to find them? What do you think is the next frontier for making learning truly unforgettable?